gender-based medicine differences. We have a problem because men and women with heart disease are treated differently. And the reason is because most of the research was done only on middle-aged men. And that's how they determined research and diagnosis and treatment. And so that's why they expect any patient that's rolling in the ER to have crushing chest pain as the key symptoms, whereas for women, the symptoms are definitely unique. They tend to be jaw pain, back pain, lightheaded, sweaty, extreme fatigue. Men can have some of those symptoms, but for the women, it's not always the crushing chest pain that's the classic symptom. And so in this story, this is actually my story, so I'm going to quickly tell you my story of my experience with heart disease about 20 years ago. So I was a woman, 37 years old at the time, saw my OB-GYN to get off birth control pills. And the doctor, she was a female, and she said, oh, you absolutely don't need to get off birth control pills. I said, well, I've been on for 17 years at the time. And she said, well, there's no reason because you don't smoke and you're under 40 and you're not overweight. So I went home and I was actually willing to get my tubes tied and she discouraged me. So go home, tell my husband, and we were a little surprised because we weren't planning to have more kids. We were done, we mutually agreed on that. And so then I'm working now a month later, and I'm actually teaching COPD education and it was right after lunch, when all of a sudden I started getting some pain in my jaw, which I've never had before. And I just didn't feel well. So I told my colleague, can you please take over the class? Something's wrong with me. And I walked myself to employee health and met the nurse over there. And I told her, wow, I'm just having such extreme jaw pain that my teeth are almost hurting. And so she said, maybe you had some bad lunch. Why don't you go lay down in the back room? So I laid in the back room for about 20 minutes when the pain was like nothing I'd experienced, where literally my teeth were hurting. And I said to her, I think I could be having a stroke. I don't think she believed me because she said, well, why don't you go walk yourself to the ER? And when I tried to get up, I could not walk a straight line. So I said, no problem, you're going to help me walk to the ER. So together she held on to me and we hoofed it over to the ER, where I checked in and again was not taken serious. I was put in a wheelchair, waited another good 20-30 minutes until I finally got up and said, and by the way, the nurse left. The employee health nurse had to go back to her job. When I got up and said to the charge nurse, I literally think I'm having a stroke because now my back is hurting so bad and there's sweat just dripping off me and there's something wrong. So I got wheeled into the back. I was not wheeled into a key part of the ER. I was wheeled into kind of a minor injury area. And the physician on duty happened to be a friend of mine. We had just been at a tennis tournament together. Both of our kids played competitive tennis. And he knew that I had been running while my kids were playing. I was trying to keep myself in shape. And he was kind of shocked to see me. But when I told him my symptoms, he says, well, you have no risk factors, until I said I was on birth control pills. As soon as I said I was on birth control pills and I was having this extreme pain, I also at that point could hardly, when he asked me to sit up, I could hardly sit up. I was just like sucked into my pillow. That's when he got kind of excited and said, you know what, there is a chance. I can't believe it, but there is a chance you could be having a heart attack. But let's just get some EKGs and let's get some labs. And so he tells me the story later when he visited me in ICU, that when they handed me the EKG, he said he thought he had the wrong room. He says, oh my word. So I was having a massive heart attack from the birth control pills. And what happens is the birth control pills contain estrogen, which makes you throw clots more. And the clot happened to land in my heart. So suddenly things went from 0 to 100 and I ended up in the cath lab very quickly. I had a big clot in my LAD, my left anterior descending artery. Was hospitalized for 5 days, was in the ICU. I'm still okay. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So now I'm discharged. 5 days later, very weepy, out of control, and I get sent to cardiac rehab, where the average person there is 70 years old and male. And the common denominator all the time was they would always say to me, oh, you're not a patient, you're one of the employees. And I say, no, I'm actually one of the patients. Fast forward a year later. My husband says to me on my year anniversary, I can't believe a 37-year-old woman could have a heart attack, and the cardiologist isn't that excited to do follow-up with her. So my husband schedules me for a follow-up second opinion, and that's when my life got better. I got a second opinion, and the doctor took my case really serious, cardiologist I should say, and he said, let's do a TEE and an echo with bubbles. And he says, I'm looking for a hole in your heart. And as soon as I heard that, I was like very distressed, like, oh, this isn't good. And he does the procedure and literally goes, oh my word, there went 50 bubbles. And I started crying because I realized that means I have a hole in my heart that needs to get repaired. This guy literally saved my life by taking my case serious. I was in, 2 weeks later, had the hole repaired. And 2 weeks later after that, I was in Hawaii for my 40th birthday. So this man literally saved my life, because if they did not fix that hole, I was still open for throwing clots and having a stroke or a heart attack. And that is what I'm trying to say. What can be improved? Well, we need to do treatment and diagnosis on men and women. They need to do research on all ages, and then the data will come out. And that's what's happened. This has been a while now. The data is out. If you type in the internet, young women, birth control pills, PFO, stroke and heart attack, you will get 1,000 articles. And it's now very much spoken of. The doctors are much more ready to understand what's going on. But that's an example of gender-based medicine where they just don't take us women serious on a topic, and as it's been researched and as they've really worked hard on it, we've seen great improvement. So, thank you very much.